Hey everyone, how's it going today and welcome back to another update. So the relatively surprising news to share in today's update really off of the spot is that there is now recently a brand new bill that recently just came out within the last 24 hours if you are watching this on release day that is now hoping to try to expand unemployment again in order to kind of open up eligibility. But what's shocking about this new bill that recently just came out at a massive huge change of pace is that this new bill that just came out is now actually something that's being proposed surprisingly from a GOP Republican. So the shocking thing is, as most of you guys know, is that for the last several months we have had many cases where, and again leaving politics just because it's physically what's happening objectively speaking, is that we had a lot of cases where many of the states, especially those that were run by GOP Republicans, they happened to sadly have ended unemployment relatively earlier. They were trying to advocate to kind of end a lot of programs. And what's shocking is that the representative that specifically proposed this bill was actually a representative from Tennessee, which was technically a state that was actually originally against the unemployment program. Now, technically, the difference is that the person the specific person within Tennessee that took away unemployment within Tennessee, and the person that is trying to basically create this brand new bill to expand unemployment once again is another person from Tennessee, but a totally different person now, by the name of Rusty Grill. So he is a representative, only now instead of in the Senate, he is actually someone that's inside of the House trying to advocate for this. Now, the big thing to what's going on is that the reason that he's doing this is because what he's really trying to do is to essentially try to expand the eligibility, but even more specifically, to make it so that anyone that is either against the vaccine mandates, or just simply put is that if they either lost their work, whether this is by choice or whether this is by being forced to do so because of employment requirements, they would be able to now officially get back onto the unemployment program. Now, there are a lot of much more greater details to what's been going on here, so I really want to dive into this bill in today's update, but I figured I'd give the general outline. So we're gonna get right to it, but maybe as always, real fast, before we begin, maybe consider smashing the like button in light of the fact we at least now see a surprising new bill of some kind to do unemployment. But from the other side as well, consider subscribing and hitting the bell for similar videos like this. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, personal thoughts, maybe about whether you support or just honestly, just really anything at all. So with that being said, let's get this video started. So maybe to start with just a little bit of a backdrop about the story to how this bill, or basically what's been going on here, is that essentially, as most of you guys know, is that there was recently a lot of controversy that was going on around when it came to things related to the vaccine mandates. I did make a survey on my channel page that basically talks about whether or not you guys do or don't support the vaccine mandates. Definitely feel free to check that out. Huge thanks if you guys have already voted. Maybe if you guys haven't voted, consider trying to vote. And maybe try to enter in and vote it independently without knowing what a lot of other people vote, because I think sometimes people will sometimes vote and then they'll see what the majority votes and they just do the same exact thing. But the big idea is that what's going on is that because there was so much controversy about that topic, and there was a say that at that time period, and technically still to this day, because keep in mind this is still a proposal, so it hasn't been approved, is that there was a lot of belief and say that they were going to start to enforce a vaccine mandate in the coming weeks / months, so that if you were someone that is currently working at a company that happens to be somewhere between 100 or more employees, we talked a lot about this in a previous video, which once again I'll put at the very end screen. I believe the name of that video is literally something related to like unemployment vaccine mandates. You can maybe consider that as maybe a little bit of a part 1, and then today's really a part 2 follow-up to that video, although you really can be watching them in either order. But the big idea idea is that because of the vaccine mandate that's going on, there was a lot of belief that in the coming weeks and months, and it's still very much to this day, that when they start to enforce it, they were going to start to create a thing where a wave of many, if anything, millions of people were going to potentially lose their jobs again because they were refusing to essentially try to get the vaccine, or it was because they just were not vaccinated to begin with. So if they were trying to get a particular job, then this was going to be something that would make it difficult with a lot of employers trying to start to either enforce it or just prefer it, simply put. So the story is that where this bill now comes in, so entering this brand new bill is that the new bill was recently created, as just mentioned, by House Representative Rusty Grills, who is a Republican representative within Tennessee. So that is the surprising thing. And what he really wants to do is that he wants to essentially now try to expand the eligibility so that if you are someone that is currently a worker that is afraid of potentially losing your job, or if you happen to be someone that is looking for work but you're afraid that even if you do find work you may be forced to leave that particular job, then this brand new bill would basically protect you. But even more specifically, the way it would basically work is that if you either found work or you're currently working and you end up deciding to leave your job because something related to pandemic testing, anything related in that world vaccine mandates, you would be able to now continue, or simply put is to go back onto the unemployment program. So I think what this is really meaning is that it means that even though there is a chance, as just mentioned from one of the previous videos, which I'll put at the end screen again, that the unemployment rates may potentially increase even higher again, what this really means is that at least now many of those people can potentially now actually apply and get back onto the unemployment benefits program in general. And the other huge significance to what's going on with this bill is that because originally it was also stated that if you were someone that had to lose your job, whether this was because you lost it by choice or whether you decided to walk away or whether you actually were forced to leave your job, then the sad news beforehand is that if you had to leave your job because of something related to the vaccine mandates, it meant that you were not allowed to be able to get back onto the unemployment program. So that was the original hard news. But the great news is that now, thanks to this bill, of course, again, keep in mind it is still a proposal, but if it was to able to go through, especially because we do actually have it being supported on the GOP Republican side, then what it means is that a lot of these people can actually now go back to being on unemployment. And what's actually even greater than this and even more significant is just the fact that because a lot of people that fell off of the unemployment, and it's not just even related to vaccine mandates, but just a lot of people that fell off of unemployment in the last month or so, there are a lot of people that are currently unemployed, and by a lot we're talking about millions of people that are unemployed, but are actually sadly not counted inside of the statistic for what the unemployment rates currently are, which is another thing that we kind of shared in yesterday's update, so I'll put that at the end screen. So what this means is that if those groups of people that are actually unemployed but are now actually not only unemployed but actually able to get back onto the unemployment system, then it also means that they can now actually be a part of the statistic, which means that their numbers / their voices would now actually be a part of the numbers that we see, which basically means is that all of the numbers that we generally share, like unemployment claims, job rates, job market, jobs report, all those kinds of numbers that we share, it will be even more accurate and it will be even more reflective of the situation of what's actually physically happening if those people are actually now able to actually get onto the program and be part of the actual count for the people that are there. But of course, because as mentioned is that this is still very, very much a proposal, even though the great news is that we at least now see something related to doing more unemployment on both the GOP Republican side and then of course also the Democratic side. So with AOC and Wyden, it means that we at least have some level of balance. Of course, course, there's variations between the two bills. There are differences. One relates to vaccines, one relates to just wanting to do it universally. But the idea is that there's at least work that's happening. So beyond that, that's what I really just wanted to share in today's update. So if you guys found that relatively insightful, or maybe even enjoyed that, because it does talk about more unemployment potentially at the end of the day, maybe consider smashing the like button, consider subscribing, hitting the bell for similar videos. Huge thanks if you guys made it this far, and as always, feel free to comment any personal questions, thoughts, maybe predictions about honestly just really anything. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay safe, stay well, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.